We often will search in the day and at night. Our whole team struggles with when to call it.
Three of us, I think we hit that tree at least 10 times.
We kind of never want to give up on a site or a species or a population.
They used to be all in here. Hard to believe they're completely gone.
I think people look to the mountains and they think our native insects are up there, our forest birds are up there, our beautiful snails are up there. And I mean, you look at the mountain, it's green, it's beautiful, but the animals aren't there. They're being erased.
Initially, when I say I work with snails, they're thinking in their heads the garden snails, all those disgusting snails or slugs that you see around your home. And then they start to process, oh, endangered tree snails, Hawai'i. And then I start showing them pictures, and it's a totally different reaction.
We don't have to go back that far to find those descriptions of snails hanging like grapes from the foliage, multicolored gems hanging from the trees and shrubs.
It's really, really huge in Hawaiian culture. The snails had a really big presence, and they were the voice of the forest.
There's limited time for it's game over for a lot of these species.
If you cannot take care of small stuff, I can take care of big stuff.
Scientists are mourning the loss of a 14-year-old named George. George was a snail, a Hawaiian tree snail to be exact, and the last member of an entire species. That joins hundreds of others that have gone extinct over the past few decades. They're now saying that 60 to 90% of them gone.
I think when people talk about extinction or think about extinction, it's a really abstract concept that's hard to wrap your mind around. George was the last known Acatenella apex fulva. I'm sad that he's not here as an ambassador anymore, because I think that when people see the last of something, I think it hits home rather than hearing it, to actually see it. And on January 1st, 2019, he died. And unfortunately, I think it's kind of foreshadows more to come.
When I was a kid, these were relatively common on the trunks of the guava trees. This lived on the ridges above Honolulu, that area. But it's gone now, of course. It would be presumptuous for me as a haole to try and understand the love for the land that Native Hawaiians have. There is something about growing up in a place and knowing that generations of your ancestors have grown up in that place that gives you a special connection that I can never know. But as a biologist, I do have a sense of why these islands are unique.
There are 1,200 known species of snails in North America, north of Mexico. That scale really puts it into perspective because Hawaii's 1/1700th the landmass of that part of North America. Yet we have almost the same number, if not more, species of snails. Snails that evolved in Hawaii, they were sort of the cleaners of the forest. They kept the plants healthy by keeping the leaves clean so that they can photosynthesize more effectively. Why are there so many, right? And that's really what drives us. Why are there so many snails here in Hawaii versus elsewhere?
Yeah, this one looks a little comprehensive.
And then also on the counter end of that is how much we've lost. There have been cases where we've gone out knowing that a population is declining to recover the last of them and get there and we're too late. And those are the worst days, you know, because you just miss that opportunity to save something for a little longer.
I think that Hawaii has seen a lot of change. And we still are in the face of change. The natural world that existed at the time before contact has changed radically. With climate change, with continued unfettered introductions of potentially disastrous plants and animals that could further disrupt our native ecosystems. We've seen that happening ever since contact and at an accelerating pace.
Hawaiian land snails had been disappearing even as early as the late 19th century. People were recognizing that things that had been collected in, say, the 1840s had gone. Even back in the 1960s, we knew that Euglandina was here, and we anticipated that it was not a good sign. If this keeps going the way it is, the Hawaiian Islands are going to be a bunch of warm rocks in the ocean that look pretty much like every other bunch of warm rocks in the ocean. We will have lost one of, if not the most incredible faunas of native land snails anywhere in the world.
That which is to be found nowhere else on Earth. Hawaii is full of that. The snails of Hawaii are one of the more obscure, and yet in Hawaiian culture, they were one of the most prominent.
Here at Bishop Museum, we tell a broader story of Hawaii's history. Do you know where those? Our collections deserve our respect. They deserve our physical respect as well as our emotional respect. The museum cares for a shell necklace that belonged to Queen Liliuokalani.
We actually don't really know much of its history other than it being part of our collection. So they're like this big.
So that's kind of like that size one?
Yeah.
And they were striped
and
like
they
that?
were striped like that.
So it's probably Stewartii, which was,
from Manoa.
yeah, like Manoa, Nu'uanu, and I think they went into Palolo.
Thinking about this lake here, just your description of where all of these different shells are coming from all over the island, not just one place. Maybe it was that similar idea that people were gifting her shells from different parts of Oahu to really signify all of the coming together of the peoples of Oahu in support of the Queen.
Just to think of all the lives that lei has been in contact with. To have that understanding that she touched that lei. Yeah, it was a heavy day. I was actually a little scared of it. a Hawaiian understanding of the world, all those lives that the lei has touched imbues some kind of power into it. We call it mana.
When you give a lei to a queen, it's an amazing thing. Because the lei pupu kuahiwi is made up of such a legendary element of Hawaiian culture, to put together a lei of that sort and give it to a queen, entirely appropriate.
Yes, photo shoot.
Thank you guys.
See that lei in front of me just makes me think of all the stories of my teachers that talk about the hula or the songs that exist about the KΑHULI.
I grew up on Kauai Island, and I grew up dancing hula since I was about this small. I was very young. The first hula that a lot of people learned is the KΑHULI song.
It's more than just a kāhuli. It's kind of a generic term for snail. There's the hini hini, or the polole kanikua mauna, pu pu kanioi, right? The shell that sounds long.
Hawaiians in particular were great observers of nature. They saw the world and they made connections with the world. There were names for everything, which meant that everything had a purpose. When you name something, you give it life. My friends that are doing research and work in preserving these species up on the mountain, and hopefully we can make sure that those species stay alive.
Sion, can you see the door? Right, if you cannot take care of small stuff, how you can take care of big stuff? We have something really valuable that we should be taking care of. I work with critically endangered Hawaiian plants and snails and insects to prevent them from going extinct so that my son can see them. I know he's proud that I protect Hawaiian plants and animals, that little piece of their culture. It's the physical, visual, the part you can touch. These things are just up there on the mountain, cruising around on plants. Trying to get location data, trying to determine the habitat. Yeah, on the popala. You gotta learn the plants, the forest. It's not easy. Everybody who I share these snails with are just blown away. Yeah, the pattern, it's like almost digital. They'll join the two others that are on Oahu now. Hopefully one's a male, one's a female, and there'll be a breeding pair, like as plenty babies.
You know, when I was growing up and first getting into biology, you think of extinction as this thing that happens. Yeah, it's happening, but it's happening over a really long period of time. Like, but it's happening in, you know, our lifetimes, and, you know, we're seeing it, we're watching it happen. And I think the most frustrating thing is sometimes feels like there's nothing you can do. Dave's job is
artist.
extraordinarily difficult. Like, I still see myself as a scientist that helps inform conservation and is really passionate about seeing conservation done. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a scientist, and Dave's job and his career and his passion wholly depends on him being successful at saving these things.
It's like the emergency room for species. I think people don't expect it to be so high-tech. Humidity, temperature, day and night, to mimic the habitats where these animals are coming from, which is usually upper elevation in the island's mountain ranges, so above 2,000 feet typically. We're barreling towards extinction with these species, and if they're gonna have any chance, we have to just keep them from going extinct at this point. Captive rearing is a lifeboat. It's drastic. We're taking these species out of their natural habitat and we're bringing them in and we're plugging them into life support. I think for most species, we're mimicking their conditions pretty accurately, and they're able to thrive. But it's not ideal to have all of these animals in captivity, by no means. I've been working with rare land snails in the Pacific for over 12 years. Some of the areas where I first went to in graduate school and saw tons of snails and kind of became really excited about my projects, there aren't snails anymore, they're gone. I pulled the last ones out.
I know. That's what we're looking for out here?
Yeah. We're seeing these populations that people have monitored for a long time just completely disappear within a matter of months or a year. We've been racing to try and get to these populations and pull individuals out before it's too late. All right, you guys ready? Yep. Ready? Yeah.
Oh, the second largest? Vegas!
A lot of our snail sites that we manage and where they exist today are really discreet. They're relatively small. Think of something like the size of the footprint of your house.
And all the way down towards these Pruchardia falls.
We've spent 80 person hours, 100 person hours at sites that are the size of your living room. We often will search in the day and at night.
Yeah, we'll hit the edge, then we'll kind of sweep back up.
Okay.
But this whole area right in here was the hot spot, so.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. You might see the whole side profile. You might see the last whorl just behind the edge of a leaf.
You're just checking in. We're still hunting up here.
Any luck? All right, let me know when you're leaving so I can heat up the hot cocoa.
Okay, thanks. Out of between the three of us, I think we've hit that tree at least 10 times. They're just gone. It seems fast. You could walk up to the site 2 years ago and in 3 minutes find them without even looking that hard.
When I find a snail, just in general, I keep it to myself for just a split second.
Keep trying.
What?
Where?
He's right there.
Okay. Don't lose it.
Oh, he's walking
It
around.
is a snail.
What it looks like a bud of an ohia. Last man standing.
To find that one snail at the very end, it's a huge relief. It breaks that mounting tension, but after the joy and the celebration subsides, you realize again, we've only had an opportunity to find one snail. It's heavy. It's heavy for a Hawaiian. I don't feel good about taking snails out of their natural environment. So you're constantly trying to tell yourself that what you're doing is worth it. But what we do in the lab, it works.
And they make a lot of babies in the lab. Our job is to get them out of here as fast as we can and back onto the landscape in multiple sites. These are small portions of habitat that we're able to maintain predator-free, where populations can flourish without being depredated into extinction.
Yeah, so we're just checking on predator barriers on our exclosure. It's our exclosure wall. Just walking around the exclosure, checking under the angle, see if there's any euglandina trying to get in. Okay, so we're checking the angle, checking the copper mesh, going around the exclosure, and what do we find? Boom! Got a euglandina up in there. Oh. Big boy.
It's not happening in a vacuum. There's a lot of people that care about this.
With more eyes on the ground, we are finding things that have been entirely forgotten. Snails that people didn't realize were still there, right? That they still have a fighting chance to survive. This is Auriculella malleata. It is endemic to Oahu, specifically in the Waianae Mountains. This is Amasha micans, a very, very, very rare snail, endemic to Oahu. This is Ka'ala sabritia, named after Mount Ka'ala. That's the highest point on Oahu. So you can only find this snail on that mountaintop. These are very happy stories that we have, that not all are extinct, that they are still around, and that we still have time to save them.
I think there's incredible beauty in these places and in the animals we're working with. I want people to feel the urgency that we feel. We have around 100 species across islands that we think is vulnerable to extinction within a week to the next decade.
I think that conservation in the long run is going to fail unless there's a strong connection between every single human being and the natural world around them. It's a connection that was severed through a history of changes in the way people view the natural world. And so part of my driving philosophy is to share that richness and to have more and more people appreciate it, care about it, care for it, and we re-enter into a reciprocal relationship with our environment and with the natural world around us. That's what does it.